Hello, beautiful chess community. Welcome to another Endgame video on our channel. And today we are speaking about Endgame number 3, and it is a key squares. As you see here, the black is dreaming about draw. And the white, of course, can win because white has an extra pawn. And if you have an extra pawn, if the pawn promotes, you are the winner. But the black trying not to do that, trying not to allow you to do that. But here, event calculation and analysis is growing to complexity because pawn doesn't reach yet the 6th rank. The good idea here is to understand this concept about key squares. Actually, if the pawn is on the 5th rank, the key squares for king to be is on the 6th rank in front of him, and it is like, for this particular case, it is king must be on e6, f6 or g6 squares marked in yellow here. And if the king already reached these key squares, the pawn should promote with the correct playing. So it would, and if you remember from the previous video, don't push pawn too early unless the pathway to the promotion is clear. And what would happen in this case if you push, if we push pawn too early? The king, the black king, will take an important opposition, and then he wins a draw. I mean, when I say he wins a draw, he gets a draw, which is the best result what he can achieve. So opposition is when the two kings looking to each other, and the usually, as you know from the previous video, the part who must move, it has usually disadvantage. So in that case, the white must move, and wherever he move, it would be a draw. For example, if he move the pawn to 7th rank, the black king just stop his way to promotion, because now the white king must move somewhere, and if he moves anywhere here or here, the black king just would take a pawn, or if he move here, it's just a stalemate, and this is a draw, and this is what black was dreaming. But let's look, because king is already reached the key squares, so as the rule saying, if the king reached the key squares, the white must win, because white can promote the pawn. So don't leave the king the key squares, because if you leave the key squares, so we coming to the beginning, then the black will fight for a draw. So stay in the key squares, put a king in opposition for the black, with the black king. So black king must move somewhere. If he moves here, you see our next move will protect the so important f8 square. You can as well move king e6 or g6, but this is not this move's doing nothing, because you still not lose the game, but you will need to start it again the same procedure. So just try to progress, and king g7 protecting the f8 square for the pawn, and king protecting these 3 important squares and making the green corridor for the white pawn. So for example, next is black move, black is going here, and now white is having a green corridor for promotion and for winning. And the situation is continuing like that. White is only one way step from promotion. Black, just wherever he would go, he would lose. Let's match. He goes here. You can go with the king g8, but again, it's doing nothing. It's just wasting a move. You're not losing a game, but you will need to start again. But just go straight for promotion and win a game in some moves. So one more time, the important here rule and concept is the key squares. In that case, when the pawn is on the fifth rank, the key squares are 3 squares just in front of him. And if the king occupies any of these key squares, the white will promote. One more time. Wherever black king would go, he can go here, he can go here. We're doing the same, making a green corridor, because now the king saving this 3 squares, f6, f7, and f8, and black king cannot go and occupy one of these, so he must move somewhere. He moves here, and we are going for a win. We are going for a win, and we are winning and promoting to the queen and winning in some moves. Another interesting position is what we are seeing here, and it is a knight's pawn. Once again, the knight's pawn, as always, poses extra difficulties, but the key square rule still applies here. So the key square rule is the same for every pawn, because here the key squares are 3 squares in front of the pawn when he is on the 5th rank, and it is f6, g6, and h6. And as we know before, if the king occupies one of the key squares, the pawn will promote. But here we must be very, very careful, because again, black is the best result for black. It is draw, and white is fighting for a win, because white have extra pawn which can promote for a queen. So if we push a pawn too early, when the king is not on the key squares here, so it will be just a stalemate, and it will be a draw. So because black king doesn't have where to go, and if it is not a check, and if it is not any legal move left for the black king, it means it is a stalemate and it is a draw. So be careful, don't push pawn too early, and the best way is to occupy the key squares. You can go with the white king to f8 or f6. It's still not losing, but again, it doing nothing, because at the end you will need to start again from the same position after a couple of moves of black. Because okay, let's say we're going here, the black king cannot go to g7 because it's protected by king. Let's say he going here, and it's protecting this 3 squares. So of course don't go here, because in that situation we can get the same stalemate situation, and as in the previous video, king is taking that diagonal opposition. So there is any move white makes, it will be a draw and stalemate. If he goes here, it's a stalemate. If he goes here, it will be a stalemate in a couple of moves. Not a stalemate, it will be a draw in a couple of moves. So the best way, if you already go here, went here, let's say, so just start again from beginning, and white must move, black must move somewhere, and he moves here, and you're starting the same from beginning. But easiest way, just occupy a key square in front of your pawn, and now it's black to move. Black must move somewhere, and he going. It looks like he going to a position, but we having here the reserve move. So white moves to h6 and black to move. If black moves here, we can now going one step closer to promotion, because king is already, as we said, on the key square, so pawn should promote. Pawn one step closer to promotion, pawn advances to a 6th rank, king is already there, so black king will lose in a few moves, but let's see how it will be. If king, let's say, go here, white still, because white cannot go with the king to g5 or h5, because it will the win will slip. So the white must go one step closer, and we think like that, you know, if the white goes one step closer, what it will do? Like it will protect the f8 square and h8 square by the pawn. The pawn will be protected for itself. The h7 square will still be protected by the king. So king will need to move to only one available square, e7, and you will see like this. Now these squares are protected. King must move only here, and now it's white to move. Of course, don't move directly, because if you move now, the king will take, and it's draw. Just protect with the king, with the white king. Just protect the most important at this moment, square g8. At the same time, you will protect the pawn, because if you go with the king somewhere else, black king just will take a pawn, and hallelujah. So natural move, protecting this square, and this square is protected by pawn, this square protected by king. So now black king must leave, and if he leaves here, or wherever he lives, it is the same story. White promoting, and promoting the queen, and winning the game in few moves. So another one, key squares, knight pawn, just very important to remember. Don't push pawn too early, because it will be a stalemate. And as well, don't go with the king nowhere else, because the king just will occupy important squares. And let's say he goes here, and what to do for you? Now you cannot promote, you cannot because this square is important, protected. King cannot, no chance to in correct play to get control of g8. So it will be just a draw again. So the best square, take in front, king must move, you wherever you go. Now is black move, and slowly you coming to win this game. Knight pawn, key squares, the same key squares, 3 squares in front of the pawn. And what about key squares when the pawn has not reached yet the 5th rank? So key squares rule then looks like that. If the pawn has not reached the 5th rank, it's a key squares are 2 ranks ahead. So in that case, the pawn is on the 4th rank. So it means the king key squares for the king to be, it is on the 6th rank, as you see these 3 yellow squares. So if pawn is on d4, so the key squares for king to b, then white can promote and fight for a win. It is on d6, c6, and e6. So what about if pawn would be on, let's say, third rank? It will be the same. 2 ranks ahead. If pawn would be on second or third rank, so if it would be on second rank, so key squares for king would be like king must be on c4, d4, and e4. And for example, if pawn it is on third rank, so the key squares must be then c5, d5, and e5. But pawn in our case is already on d4, so key squares is 2 ranks ahead. Remember always that if pawn not reach the 5th rank, you aim to put your king on the key squares. If you put your king on the key squares, this concept, if you understand, you will win a lot of endgames like this. For example, I just not long time ago won a beautiful, nice endgame in my games just because I understood this key squares concept. So you try now to go and put your king on the key squares, and at the same moment, every time the pawn advanced, the key squares is moving a little bit, so you need to put your king on the new key squares. So, but in this case, now if it is the best move for king to go to d5. And it will be easiest way to come to key squares. But if you go, for example, on e5, the problem with that it is that here black can get a draw because can fight for a draw, because now black is taking an opposition, and the king must move somewhere and still not coming close to key squares. For example, if you push a pawn now, because king don't push a pawn, because if you push a pawn now, the king is still not in the key squares, and definitely it will be a bad move, because now black king occupies an important square in front of the pawn. Again, you cannot push because king going again to d8, and whatever you will do, you cannot push here. King will take. King just take. If you push your king again taking opposition, and you know the procedure. It will be a draw. It will be a draw. So the best thing for white to do is think like this, how to move not to get in opposition after the black next move, you know, because if black can get your king in opposition, opposition is when the king is looking to each other by one square in between. So think how to do that, and the best way is like that. Take d5, because now if black moves closer, there is no opposition. The black protecting these 2 squares, but by the next move you can easily get to one of the key squares, c6, and then after some moves you will promote. You can go, of course, c5 or e5. You're still not losing, but it doesn't help. You know, it doesn't help. It do nothing. You will just need to start again and again. So better go and take one of the important and super important key squares. Key square, and I promise, when you will understand this key square concept and where is the key squares, you will win a lot of end games. Like, but you will practice and you will understand that. So now the black to move, and wherever black moved, the white will promote in some moves. Let's say black moves here. then because king is already in the key squares, you can push your pawn. Now it's black to move. Let's say black trying to go here. You can already go to c7 and protect important d8 square, because pawn still will be protected by the king and it will be black to move. But I like just to go get closer and closer to promotion if it is if I can do that. So let's say I one step closer with the pawn for promotion. Wherever black king will go now, it will not help him to win, because if he goes here, easy. Of course, don't leave a key square. If you will leave a key square, the king will occupy the important square on d7, and he will protect, and he will not allow your king to come and to protect your pawn. So it will be difficult, and it will be even not possible, I believe, to win anymore. So just one more step closer. This step, what it does, you see this now red squares are protected, and black king cannot move to any of those, so he must leave the super important square where white is dreaming about. Of course, don't push now, the same story, black will take it. You go with the black king and protect this important square and win in the couple moves, because now, as you see, all the red squares are protected by king or by pawn, so black king must move somewhere far away from that. If he moves here, you just promote and win in a couple of moves. So one more time. The key squares, when the pawn not reached the 5th rank, is 2 rank ahead. It doesn't matter if the pawn is on the 2nd rank, so the 4th rank in front of him, it will be 3 key squares. If the pawn is on 3rd rank, so rank number 5, 3 squares will be key squares, and in this case, rank number 6, it is two ranks ahead of the pawn is the key squares. Here, king c6 occupied the key squares. King goes, he tries, but he will not succeed. As we said, in correct play, if the king already reached the key square, we must promote. Here, let's say here, king. Now here is a black move, because in that case, king d8 will guarantee him a draw. So again, don't push here, go here. So now king must move somewhere, and the king moves here, you go here, and the king goes here, and you promote. One more position, and this one is very interesting. The fight for the key squares in this case coming a little bit tougher. But this time black fighting for the win, because black have extra pawn, so white is dreaming just for a draw, and because draw it could be a best result for white, and black will fight for a win. But to make sure white can, because it is a white move now, white cannot go to, for example, a2 or b2 square or a2 square, because it will lose in some moves. And for example, if white goes to b2, the next thing what the black will do, they will just take an opposition, and we know the part who is taking opposition and is in advantage, and part who is in move now, then they have disadvantage. So what to do, how not to get in opposition? we can take opposition, white can take opposition, but this opposition is a little bit different. It's so-called like distance opposition. And if white will take, for example, the square on B1, it will take a distant opposition. And distant opposition is when both kings are on the same file and separated by like odd number of squares, for example 3 or 5. And in this case, if white moves to b1, it will be distant opposition, and it will help and it will work for favor in white, and soon you will understand why, because the key squares are two squares in front of the pawn this time. So for the black, because black is on the 5th rank, the key squares, it is on the 3rd rank for king to be. So if king will occupy the rank number 3, any of these squares, the black will promote and will win. So we must not to allow it, and we must try to fight for a draw. So b1 taking a distance opposition, and if you see now, it is black to move. And for example, now it's you will understand this concept, because if black moves now one square up and you are taking opposition, and it's black to move again, and because this 3 squares is occupied, black king cannot move here, and he cannot reach any of this key squares now, because if he moves here, if he moves here, you just take again opposition, and wherever he moves, you take opposition, and it will be a draw. So very important. Even if the white tries to push, you take a key square in front. Now what for black to do? The black cannot reach this important key squares. As I said, if you will understand where is the key squares and how to occupy it with your king, you will win a lot of endgames. The first thing, you just understand why the key squares, because the key squares protects, if the king is on the key squares, it doesn't allow the opponent king to in some moves to go and somehow to protect the c square for this c1 square for this particular case. So black to move, black moves here, and what now? Because now king just pushes, and this 3 squares like b2, b3, b4 are protected by the king, white king, black king, wherever it goes, it will be just draw. And for example, if black push, as we said, we're going here, you push, take, and the same situation. If black comes here, again, now it's important moment, because now black cannot go to d1, because white cannot go to d1, because black just will come a step closer and will win. Just take opposition again, and again the same story, and again you are, white are good, because if push, of course don't go here, because next move white promote, you take the key square in front of the pawn, and now wherever the black moves, it is a draw. Even if he moves here, it's a stalemate. White cannot move anywhere, and it's a draw. So look what is happening when pawn is being pushed, when the black king is not occupied any of the key squares yet. it is a draw. So once again, when in tough situation, when the king is far away, take a so-called opposite or distant opposition, which are 3 or like 5 squares on the same file. When kings looking to each other from on the same file, it must be odd number. So here, now wherever black moves, here opposition, and let's say here, as we said before, or here, doesn't matter. Like you controlling this 3 squares, you are controlling. The black king cannot reach it and it cannot promote. So correct way to play, take this, that, and controlling again, and nothing to do for black. So it will end on a draw. If you take this too early, black is taking opposition, and white will lose soon. White will lose soon, because now wherever white will go, black will take again opposition, go here, and if you do exercise, you will see that it is no chance for incorrect play for white. So take distance opposition and preserve a draw. And draw this time is the best result for white, because otherwise black will promote and black will win. And this key squares concept it's so important. If you get it in your head, you will get a lot of games, you know, like it's happening so many times in actual real life games that if you understand this key squares importance and understand where is the key squares, you will not push pawns too early, you will try to fight for it, and when you reach it, then you will win the games, a lot of games, you know. So understand it, and good luck in your games. And the last and very interesting position here, when if you remember that the key squares for third rank pawn, like this time, are 2 ranks ahead. So if pawn on the third rank, let's say g3 like this time, the key squares are on f5, g5 and h5. So for your king to be, and here it's very interesting situation, because king is already reached the key squares. So what to do now? Of course, if you move on your king on the key squares, you will still win, because your king, as we say, we're saying that if it is on the key squares, you will sooner or later will promote. But just this like moves like here or like here, just do nothing, because the black will move, for example, in this case h6. Yes, you will you will win after some moves, but it will take longer and more fight. So the best in this case, because king is already on the key squares, move your pawn, and it's called like use your reserve move. Now don't move your king while you don't need it, because the king is already there. So now it's a pawn turn. Push your pawn, because if you push your pawn too early, when the king is not on the key squares, then the win can slip from you. So now the black to move, and as you see, king is protecting this three squares in front of him, like these red squares. The black king cannot go here, 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 so he must go somewhere. Let's say he goes here. And when he goes here, he's starting to protect this these two squares. But now, remember, now when the pawn is on the fourth rank, because pawn is already now on the fourth rank, where is the key squares for this time for king to be? Yes, the key squares for this time for king to be is on two squares ahead and from the pawn. So in this particular case, it is on the sixth rank, and so king cannot reach now the g6 square. He cannot reach h6 square because it's protected from the black king by the black king. But he can. Doesn't matter which one of these three squares he will reach. He can reach this square. Of course, he can go here, here. It will not, win will not slip, but just go directly. Don't think much. Don't go here, here, because after you will need to do again and again some procedure, and maybe you can do mistakes. So just go occupy the key square, and now look how this key square concept is getting like clearly, because now what the black king can move only here or g8 or h5, and any of these squares sooner or later is bad for him, because sooner or later because as we said, like white king is one of the key squares, so sooner or later pawn will promote. So let's say he is going here. Let's say he is going here, or let's say he is going here, trying to do something now, because white is already on the key squares. Again, he can push. He can push a pawn. And when he push a pawn, the black king is now in check and can go only here or here. But he is, let's say, trying to protect this square, but he will not succeed. You will see it, because white king is already on the key square. I'm telling this key square, key square, key square so much, but this is so important. It's so important. And now look what's happening, because black king moved to h7. Don't push the pawn too early, as we said. Now you can push the pawn to the sixth rank only when the path is clear. And this time the path is not clear, because if you push to g6, it will be a draw, because king can occupy h8 square. h8 square, and when he occupy h8 square, it's again this diagonal opposition. And what for you to do if you for example check, king just will go here, and wherever now kings go, it's a draw, because here it's just stalemate. So let's go back and make a correct decision. Go to f7 and protect this square, because then the king, this square will be protected. The black king cannot go here and occupy it, so just go here. And now, as we see, these squares, the red squares, are protected by white pawn or white king, and only one legal move black king has, it is like h8 square. If he moves here, now you have few choices. Again, we coming to situation like we spoke before in the video. Don't push too early, because if you push too early, boom shakalaka, it is a stalemate. So don't do that. You can go here or here, but just try to go one square in front of, go back to the key square. Now the black king to move, he goes here, and you wherever side you go, it's okay, but just go here. Now again, black to move, goes here, or goes here, or goes here, doesn't matter, because white will promote soon, because now white can go step closer, go in here, and it's easy now, because now just go step closer, because this square is protected. If it will go here, the h8 and f8 square will be protected as well. Just push. Now black must leave this so important square. He said, oh, I'm good here, I'm fine, but no, now he must leave it. You protect this square and win in couple of moves. So one more time, when the king is already reached the key squares, now it's a good time to move your pawn and use your like reserve square, because these two is doing nothing. It's just king is just walking on the one of the key squares, but the main idea was for king to reach the key squares and then to allow the pawn to move, like so. Move your pawn, go here, wherever black goes now, doesn't matter, because white will win, because as we said, king is on the key square. So if he goes here, 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 or here, push, occupy this important square, protect, and make soon. Don't push here, especially because it's a knight pawn. In other pawns will work different, but in this case, because the king is in the corner, just be careful, don't push, stalemate, remember. Occupy, go. Now king f8, for example, then king h7, then here, sorry, here, and here, and promotion. So I hope you like it today video. It was about key squares. It's so important to understand. You can watch my two previous videos, because when you see all together, when it's coming to your head all together, you're starting to see something, you know, you're starting to understand the endgame, this type of endgame winning concept. So when you understand it, I promise you will win a lot of endgames, and you will of course you win a lot of games, or at least if you are a weaker part and you don't have a pawn, you will know what squares to protect and not to allow him to promote, and you will get a draw, which is a good result when you are down a pawn. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Also, you can join my streams on Twitch. OPENSHOWSTV channel is the same channel, it's the same name as here. So see you there almost every day. Hasta la vista, and have a good chess. Bye.